nice little village called Mungataperi, or Mungataperi if you like, and which is about 10 k's, 10 minutes southwest of Wangareil. And my father bought the old dairy factory in 1991 here, and filled it up with Packard classic motor cars, 66 classic motorbikes, and numerous bulldozers, steam engines, and just about everything, at least one of everything on earth, I would say to people.
Okay, so when did all of this start?
1953 bought his first Packard to cart sheep, and so he put 13 hoggets in the back of it, and brought them back with that car to a place called Anawata, which is on the west coast of Auckland, out by Piha Beach. So that's where we had our first farm there, and a whole bunch of sheds full of things. A lot of the stuff that you see here is, some of them came from that first property at Anawata, Anawata if you like. And then we shifted up here to the big station, the family station we've got in 1987, and then in 1991 this old dairy factory became available, and my father thought, Mum and Dad, of course you can't leave Mum out, they thought that was an ideal property for the museum, and a lot of shed space, and it had good potential for storage. My father was quite focused on the Industrial Revolution and everything that went with it. So it was God-given, really, we believe. Otherwise we'd still be doing everything by hand and with horses and so on, so that wasn't going to work with the increasing population of the world. So I think the good Lord knew that, and he brought along that industry and machinery and steam engines and everything that came since. And so preserving it was the important thing for my father. Our guests and visitors, a bit of the past, and especially as we line the Packards up to show, if you like, the evolution of the motor car, and it just happens to be the Packards because were one of America's top motor car manufacturers, and so it's nice to see the changes in technology as they went forward. So in 62, I think it was, he bought a second one, and then from then on, by 1974, he had 25 of them. So a lot of them, people think they're valuable, worth a lot of money. Well, some of them are, but the ones that Dad was initially buying were New Zealand new models that were probably, you could say, they were last owner cars, really. If pretty much after that they go to scrap, and that's what most people do. So he just liked the Packards, partly because my father was an earth moving contractor as well as a farmer, and he bought his machinery, a lot of it, from the Dominion Motors in Newmarket in Auckland, and so they were agents for Alice Chalmers, and they were also agents for Packard, so that was one of the reasons too.
And that will explain all the big machinery outside?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he didn't like selling much, you could say, and you can see that wandering around here. Yeah, he bought things. Yeah, mind you, he was like, people ask me, how did he, manage to amass so much money to buy this stuff? Well, there's a couple of things with that. As I said, a lot of these cars, especially, were last user cars, so they weren't worth a lot of money. £30 or even less, £20, and then it went to dollars, and it might have been $50 or $150, so it wasn't a lot of money. But secondly, he was a trader. He would buy something. I remember a nice little Daimler Dart. He paid about $7,000 for it, and someone turned up 10 months later and offered him $14,000 for it, and so, yes, he sold it. If someone wanted something badly enough and they were willing to pay, he'd sell it and buy another Packard, probably. They were just old vehicles, and so the historic value of them hasn't actually shone through until sort of recently, more recently, and that's why a lot of these vehicles, they didn't have significant value until they got either rare or more of them were scrapped, and so the ones that were still existing became worth more, or they had value, like the Queen's Tour and so on in '53 was more significant now that times moved on. And in this style, anyway, as you can probably see, they're pretty much the world's first bobcat loader, like skid steer bobcat loader. There's a lot of them around the world now. And there we have it. Sound good?
Used in the South Island, they were used for delivering the mail and for carrying passengers and freight. Have you seen the stagecoaches in the westerns, in the western movies?
Yes. With
This, same thing. Yeah.
People come to our guests and they come in here, and most people are really blown away with the shape of it. But every now and then someone will say, what the heck did the factory do wrong there? I mean, it's the ugliest shark looking front I've ever seen on a car, and they just don't like it. But most people think it's fantastic. I mean, it doesn't look a lot different than the first year or two of the Ford Thunderbird.
I mean, the E-Class, it almost looks identical.
Yeah.
Jaguar E-Class.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, the E-Class, I see what you mean. Exactly right. Yes, it's very aerodynamic and it's all the right things. Very funny. Anyway, I still think they're a neat looking car with it, because I was born in '55, so I happen to like things with fins and, aerodynamic things, and so, all through the later '50s anyway, and cars had, the Cadillacs had great big round tail lights and so Packards and fins and all sorts of things that look like a jet. abilities and things like that. So it just took time and thinking of things through and improving things as they went forward. But yes, it's nice that the English did a lot for the Industrial Revolution. Most of it came from there, and it's interesting that this configuration here, this design, actually isn't a lot different now. You can go and buy a brand new one of these. It's around about the same size. The tracks are around about the same width, and you can have ones with wheels if you want instead of the tracks, and the bucket's around about the same too. It's going to go. How's that going?